Hello, my name's Clayton Adams. I am a intervention specialist at Aiken High School. I teach a self-contained autism unit with 6 students and 2 paraprofessionals. And our first video today is primarily going to be centered around the three-drawer system. So a three-drawer system is a work system, and it's pretty common in a lot of autism classrooms. Around the district, I guess you could say. Um, I know this training is primarily going to be geared towards teachers in MD units as well as autism unit teachers, and so there's a variety of ways to complete the three-drawer work system. Um, I'm going to show you the way, both the way my colleague Lindsay Bryan does it, and then I'm going to show you the way that I do it in my classroom, and then I can show you a variety of variation, a variety of variations on how you can do the three-drawer system, different types of tasks you can put in there, and then we'll show you guys some of the great activities that you can put inside of a three-drawer system. Some things you can buy, some things you can make. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're going to talk about the three-drawer system. There's a lot of different ways you can do the three-drawer system. This is the most effective way that I've been able to find for my students. But there's a variety of ways to do it, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. So obviously I teach a self-contained autism unit, so there's 6 students. So I have these we call them the independent workstations. I have 6 of them set up around the room, and so I have just 2 desks and 2 chairs here in case, one for the student and one for a staff member, maybe if they need to sit down and help. But the goal really is to make sure the student's being independent, trying to replicate some sort of work setting if they're able to be employed. So anyway, usually the independent workstation for my class lasts between 20-25 minutes, somewhere around that. So we have 3 drawers. So I just bought some of these Sterilite, I think they're like shoebox holders. So I just put some activities in here, and we're going to go over some of the activities later on, but usually the activities I do, they can be related to Section 5, doing vocational types of tasks, or those transition activities in Section 5, or you could do possibly something in Section 6, things like these activities right here I have are related to shapes. So anyway, the way it works is the student sits down, they pull out the first drawer. So this particular activity, there's a bag of shapes here, they're foam shapes, and then these little blue containers. So this was an activity that I made from items that I had gotten from crayons to computers. So they pop open the blue container. There's a red circle in there, and then they're going to go in this bag and find the red circle. So ideally in a workstation type of situation like this, the student's going to work from left to right. So they pull out the drawer. So they pull out the drawer here, which I've done already. You do the activity, so take out the activity boxes, or the activity from the box. And usually I'll have them put the box here to the right, because I want to go left to right. So like I said, we have this activity here where we're finding the shapes. So let's say we do them all. now that I'm done, I can put the lid on. And I just have a little basket here. This is like when everything's done. They put it over there. Then they go to the second drawer. Again, this particular, this 3-drawer system, the first 2 drawers were related to shapes or sorting shapes or matching shapes. This was an activity that I found I believe I found it at a thrift store. So, you know, always on the lookout for activities that can be used. But essentially they're just finding these plastic pieces and matching them up in these spots right here. So that's what they do. They go left to right. And then the third drawer, typically, I have a puzzle of some sort. Again, for puzzles, you're probably gonna, you know, have to buy these types of things. You know, unfortunately, I did spend a good amount of my own money, like all of us do, supplying our classrooms. But yeah, so the puzzle, you know, it depends on where your students are at, obviously academically or, you know, functionally. But this is a sequencing puzzle. Got it on Amazon. So they do that, and then they put it over here, and then they would be done with the 3-drawer system. So maybe you want to challenge your students a little bit more than just doing vocational or, you know, like functional tasks. So what I used to do, I don't do it a lot anymore, but, you know, it just depends on the type of student that you have. If your students are, you know, really good academically, one of the things you could do is you could do a 3-drawer system but put academic tasks in there. So it just depends, you know, are your students pretty good independent readers? Are they able to do math on their own? Can they use a calculator? One of the things you could do a 3-drawer system with classwork, really. So, you know, the first drawer could be like a News to You article here. And, you know, obviously, I mean, your student would need to know how to read to do all this and comprehend and hold a pencil, obviously. So that's one thing you could do. Again, going left to right, you know, they do this work here. Then they put it over here in the finished bin. Then they would move to drawer 2. You know, maybe you're working on time maybe it's an IEP goal or something like that. Or maybe geography, maps. These are obviously things you can get off News to You. So you could do unique items too. So then they would do that. But again, the 3rd drawer, typically I try to make it, you know, maybe a preferred task or something that's not very challenging. So again, I put a puzzle down here. And so just to give them, I guess, something to work towards. So the 3rd drawer, I always just do a puzzle or something kind of fun, I guess you could say. And again, they would do left to right. So that's another way you could do utilize the 3-drawer system. And, you know, it really just is dependent upon, you know, your type of student and where they're at. But this would be a good way to, you know, making sure that they're able to work independently, particularly on academic tasks. So, you know, I really think this 3-drawer system could be implemented into, you know, both autism and MD units. You just kind of have to be creative on how, you know, you just have to be creative in how you put it together and is it a good match for your students. All right, so we are here with Lindsay Bryan, who is the other autism unit teacher here at Aiken High School. And so we've seen how my specific autism unit classroom does the 3-drawer system, but I wanted to show you some other ways that you may be able to, you know, implement, you know, these kind of vocational activities and a 3-drawer system. And Lindsay Bryan does it in her own way. So, Miss Bryan, if you could tell us how your class does it.
Yeah, so I have mine set up for one of their rotations, and they'll come over and they'll find their name over here. So they'll find their name on the table, and sometimes they'll have 2 letters, sometimes they'll have all 3. So basically what they do is they find their name, and they'll take the first letter off, I, and they'll be able to match it with I, and they're expected to grab the box, come and sit down. They're all different kinds of activities that we do. A lot of times we'll get them from Teachers Pay Teachers. A lot of stuff comes from crayons, and we make it ourselves. So there's lots of different activities. So they'll sit down. Once they complete this box, they'll set it off to the side. They'll grab their next letter, grab it or match the letter to the box, pull it out, do the same thing until they've used all of their letters.
Okay, so I just want to pause here for a second and talk about the differences between Miss Bryan's 3-drawer system and my 3-drawer system, or workstation, whatever you want to call it. So I think Miss Bryan typically uses hers in her rotation. So the way we usually do it at Aiken is, so in the afternoons, we have 6 different stations set up around the room. So typically how it works is, for my classroom, we have 6 students. We have 1 break. We have an academic station where the students work with me, another academic station where the students work with, let's say, paraprofessional 1, and then another station where they work with paraprofessional 2, and I provide them with all the academic work. And then number 5, we have a cleaning station where the students basically go around the room and they clean. There's like a visual picture aid that helps them, and they go around and sweep, wipe off desks. And then 6, for me, I do implement 1 task box, just 1. For Miss Bryan, okay, so that's my 6 rotations, and then I do my 3 drawers entirely in its own thing. So I do my morning meeting, and then immediately after my morning meeting, I have the students go do their 3 drawers. I call it the independent workstation. So Miss Bryan has doesn't have the standalone time. So Miss Bryan implements those 3 boxes into a rotation, or 2 to 3. It just depends on the day. So they go to that one station, they find that card that has those letters on it, and they match them with the box. Whereas in my classroom, they have their own station set up against the wall. So the benefit of hers is it saves a lot of space. She doesn't have 6 different independent workstations set up around the room for each kid. They all go to one spot, and it's still implemented into the daily routine. So whatever works for you. I like the fact that hers, they have to match, they have to find the boxes themselves, whereas mine, the work's already there for them. What's more realistic in a real world setting, they're probably going to have to find the work on their own. Typically when you get to, typically if you're working at an office at a desk or something like that, the work just isn't going to be right there to your left. So that's the primary difference between hers and mine. I think both are fine. Both can work. It just depended upon, your room situation, how much space do you have, and what do you think is best for your students, and what's best for you to plan as a teacher?
All right, so I talked about the 3-drawer system and different ways you could do it, and I wanted to go into more detail on some of the activities that we put into the 3-drawer system. So a lot of the activities, you can get at Amazon. Like a lot of teachers, unfortunately, we purchase our own activities or things for our classrooms. Maybe you're able to buy some of this stuff with your classroom supply money, things like that. Maybe talk to your principal. So sometimes the Department of Student Services could help with this. So anyway, this is an activity I was able to get on Amazon. It is, kind of like a puzzle, or you're matching these shapes with the pictures. So it is, it's a Melissa and Doug activity. So they make pretty high quality stuff. And that takes a good amount of time for the kids to do. For students that are, this activity right here is for students, it's a really basic and easy activity. So I got these containers at the dollar store. So the whole goal would be to separate the silverware into three different containers. So we got spoons, forks, and knives. And this activity, also it's sorting, but it's also, a little bit of a life skills component with it when you're having students, work with silverware. Another variation you could probably do is have students, wrap up the silverware with napkins. That's another popular activity we've seen. This activity here is like a packaging activity. So I have this little, I don't know if you want to call it a jig or some sort of graphic here. So we got a glue stick, an eraser, a ruler, and a pencil. And then I have these little bags. So they're supposed to put, one of each of these items in this bag and then zip it up. Now all these items, excluding the bag, that UB brand, we got this all at Crayons to Computers. So the packaging activities are very popular when our students go to places like the ICANN program. They do a lot of packaging work. So that could be something to take data on to see if they're prepared and able to do it. This activity here, obviously I got it from Crayons again, so that's a common theme. So they have these magnets here. So there's a collection of, it's separated, they have numbers and letters, and they're just magnets like you would put on your fridge. So I have these little boxes here. I think realistically these are probably for, like index cards or something like that. But the goal would be to separate the letters and numbers. And most students are definitely able to do this. One of the things that kind of trips them up, though, obviously, is our students are so literal. They'll see, 1, 2, and 3, and then they'll just go and find those 3 numbers and then stick it in there. So, but it's a good activity for number and letter identification, and a good sorting activity that's pretty simple. All right, so again, this was an activity that I purchased, and I believe it was through my instructional supply funds, but it's a sorting and counting activity that also incorporates food, fake food. So 1 to 10 counting. So the way it works is you have these containers and it goes 1 to 10, and 1 tomato, so you're supposed to go through the fruit or the vegetables and then you find the tomato and whatever it is and just put it in there. They sort it that way. So it's a good activity to get the kids, especially if they're picky eaters, to get familiarized with fruit and vegetables, as well as counting. They're supposed to count out each fruit or vegetable. The next activity, just a basic sorting activity. Obviously, when you're in an autism or MD unit, we have a wide variety of learning abilities. So this, obviously the sorting bears is one of the most basic and easiest activities that our students can do. So that's definitely an important activity to have if you have students who may struggle to work or work independently. This was an activity that I had gotten from a thrift store. So the way it works is, this way. So you got all these shapes, and then you're supposed to the students are supposed to go through and match. So I know some of the standards deal with shapes. So this could be an activity where they're sorting shapes, but also they're identifying shapes and working with them, with manipulatives, which is nice, instead of just paper and pencil tasks. So this one, I think I got it on Amazon, I'm not sure, but so I made this pattern here, and I have this grid. So this activity is familiar or similar to the one of the Pays Lab activities, the PD ones, I believe is what they're called. So we have all these little pegs here, and they're supposed to go through. And so the first one, the upper left corner is a blue heart. So they go through here, find the blue heart, and then stick it in. And it's a pretty simple activity, but you'll be able to see if they can replicate patterns. So only work I really had to do was just create this pattern. This activity, again, purchased. So it's got the wooden, I think it's a Melissa and Doug activity again, but they're just supposed to go through here and, you know, match up the letters, and there is pictures, which is nice, so this could help with sight words, very basic sight words, but they are two-sided. So that's a good activity that most students can do. And then one of the last activities here I can show you. So I did make this one, obviously all from crayons to computers. So we have these pill dividers or weekly pill separators. So, you know, it goes Sunday through Saturday. And I found a bunch of these, I guess they're little erasers from crayons. So the way it's supposed to work is, so they go through Sunday, there's a little guy with his tongue sticking out, so they just put it in there, and then they go down the list. So they're little emojis. So it's a fun activity. The kids kind of like doing that. It can be challenging for some students because you have to actually go in order instead of just placing the erasers anywhere. All right, so here's some more activities. This is, I think, a paint, something to do with paint. I got it at Crayons to Computers, but again, I have those foam shapes, and then the goal would be to, you know, sort the shapes, match them with the right shape and color. This is, you know, some stuff I got from Crayons to Computers. Maybe, you know, you can see about their matching skills. Maybe they're going to have a career at the library or something. So I just got these DVD cases, and then the DVDs, they're supposed to, you know, go through here and find the right DVDs and match them. Okay, so like here's Benji, and then they would match it with Benji, and so on and so forth. So that's a fun activity, kind of implements some real life skills into it. And then we got some, you know, obviously Teacher Pay Teacher is a good resource for teachers like us. So I made this activity where they have to, I give them this, so cube or square, and then I have all these different little pictures I cut out and put Velcro on, and they're supposed to separate them. I even included, you know, some money in here, quarter, nickel. So, you know, you could even make it more simpler, you know, separate the shapes and then do a money one. So this is all stuff that's on Crayon, or Teachers Pay Teachers. Now, some of that stuff does cost money. Some of it's free. You know, you could reach out to people that, you know, we could always share our resources. So that's one of the things you could do. Again, another created activity. So I got these little Ziploc bags, and we got the number 2 or 2 dots. So the kids would have to go through here, and, you know, they need to find these 2s and put them in the bag, and then obviously I got more, 5, 3. So it's like a sorting activity, but also an activity where they're identifying numbers, counting one-to-one correspondence, that type of thing. So then this basic activity, you know, matching colors with beads. So the primary objective here is to, you know, you got an orange pipe cleaner, find the orange bead. So we got that paint thing again. And this is pretty quick activity, but it's just, I did sequencing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8. Then going backwards, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I think I just did like a random set of numbers here at the end. But, you know, again, these little bottle caps that they have at crayons are great. I'm not entirely sure. You know, they have all these bottle caps at crayons. And it's great for people like us, but they have tons of them, so I feel like I'm one of the only people that are taking them. So, yeah, the goal would be to, you know, 2, you're supposed to count 2 dots, find the 2 dots, or, you know, 8, find the 8 dots. So that's a good activity with one-to-one correspondence and making the kids count. This activity, got it from a few places. I got these little, I guess they're meal organizers or Tupperware. I got them from Crayons, and then I went online with on the Teachers Pay Teachers, and I printed out all these little food items. And so the goal here, so if you see, it says Diet Coke, Lay's, Snickers, and green beans. So they're supposed to go through here, all these pictures, and they're supposed to find, you know, the Diet Coke, green beans, the Lay's, and the Snickers. So they're in here somewhere. So they would go through and sort all that out. That's kind of a higher level one too. Obviously, you need to be able to read. You could do it with pictures too. If that's, you know, you could do that as well, matching activity. And then, you know, they have tons of markers at Crayons, and I've acquired so many markers. I'm sure, you know, we're all, you know, I feel like I'm a hoarder when I go to Crayons. So I have all these markers, and one of the things I did was I just took the caps off and put a bunch of different random markers in here. So, you know, there's different brands. You know, there's all these like generic brands that they have, and then there's like Crayola and Crazy Art. So they all have different caps. So the goal of this activity, very simple to make, but actually it can be kind of challenging for the students. But, you know, they're supposed to go through and figure out which cap goes on to each marker. So like, okay, this is a black Crayola, and this is a black cap. Well, you would think that, okay, that works, but no, this might be for a different brand. It's for the Crazy Art brand or whatever. You know, obviously that's not going to work. So that's a very simple activity you could do and make. All right, so Miss Bryan has her own activities. You know, I showed you some of we call them task boxes. So I showed you some of the task boxes that I have created in my classroom. So now Miss Bryan has some great task boxes that she wants to share and show everyone, you know, some of the activities her students are working on.
Okay, so like I said, we've got all different kinds of activities. One of the ones that the kids really like to do is sorting money, and so I just got like little cheap things of money from the dollar section at Target, and then found these plastic bags at Crayons. I have glued coins and bills on the outside of each one of these bags, and then we've got the bucket filled with all the different coins and bills, and what they do is they'll sort them into pennies, nickels, quarters, and all of the different bills. So that's sorting money. It gets them used to, you know, working with money, touching it, identifying it. Another activity that the kids really enjoy, I got from Teachers Pay Teachers, and they're just pictures of little circles. I laminated them, put it on a ring, and then I bought a bunch of these tubes from Amazon. They were pretty cheap, as well as bags of these pom-poms, and basically what they do is they just look at the pictures and they'll match the pattern and make the pattern in the little plastic tube. So this is nice. It works on kids' fine motor skills. They can match patterns, match colors. This is really something that most of the kids can do. So that seems to be working really well. And then another one that we found on Teachers Pay Teachers is sorting mail. So I have it in 2 different levels. This one is sorting by state. So I just have these manila folders I found at school, labeled them, and then took envelopes and actually it looks like they're actual, envelopes that need to be shipped out. So the kids will have to say, oh, that's going to Florida. They'll take it, they put it inside of the Florida envelope, put it down, and then they just go through and do the same thing with all of the different pieces of mail. So I have this activity separating by state, as well as for kids who might need it a little bit higher level, separating it by the zip code. So another cool activity that I used with all things I found from crayons, so it's super cheap and easy to make. I got a bunch of these CD holders with CDs inside of them and some stickers. I found them at Crayons. So as you can see, each one of the CD holders has a sticker on the front of them. And what they have to do is go through the CDs and match the sticker to the holder. And go through and just put all of the CDs together and then back in the box. A very simple matching activity, but it also works on their fine and motor skills. We have a lot of different file folders activities that we do. I switch them out often. I just keep them in a little box. So this one is nice. It works on sight words. They have to read the sight word and then go through and match the picture to the word. So find mud, and then they have to go through all the pictures and find mud. This is from Teachers Pay Teachers, and then we get a bunch of file folders from Crayons, and then just laminate, use Velcro, they stick them on there. So that's a nice activity to work on sight words. This next one is a new activity for the kids. It's a little bit harder. If some of your kids need a little bit more challenging activities, this activity actually comes in a couple different levels from Teachers Pay Teachers. What they have to do is go through and read an actual recipe. And then at the top it'll say, how much ice does this recipe call for? They'll go through and read about making a banana smoothie and then say, oh, this calls for 1 cup of ice. And then they need to take their little clip and match 1 cup. So again, this is an activity that comes at a couple different levels. This one is higher, so it really is good for my students who need a little bit more of a challenge. And then it works on their life skills as well. This next activity is another one that I got everything from Crayons, super simple. They always have these plastic tubes. I have no idea what they're actually for, but I had a bunch of them. So I got a bunch of these tubes, and then I got a bunch of colored popsicle sticks. And I labeled the tubes. It's kind of coming off, but it has the color at the top. And then I put a little slit, if you can see. So they have to find the blue stick, and then just push it down in there. And they separate all of them by colors. So each one has a different color on it, and they just have to find the popsicle sticks to match.
All right, so we're going to end the video there. And what we're going to do next is we're going to answer some questions. And once you answer these questions on your own, then we'll come back together and talk about it as a group. So the first question is, what are your overall opinions of the three-drawer system, and do you think it would work in your specific classroom? Number two, share your experience with places like Crayons to Computers and websites like Teacher Pay Teachers. Do you have experience using those types of websites or going to those types of places that give teachers free resources? Number three, what were some of the task box activities from the video that you liked and you think would work in your classroom? Number four, are you willing and able to create your own task box activities? What are some challenges you could foresee creating task boxes, or what kind of resources do you think you could use, or what you think you'll need, I mean? And then number five, are there any resources you know of that can be used to create activities for a three-drawer system that you want to share? So if there's something out there that you use that maybe not everybody else uses, you could share that with the group. Things, maybe something like there's a website out there, maybe it's similar to Teacher Pay Teachers that you know of, that provides high quality stuff for students with disabilities. So those are the five questions that we're going to answer related to our three-drawer system. And so go ahead and answer those, and then we'll come back together. And discuss. Thank you.